Israel cried out to God, "Save us from the Midianites!" They had turned away from God, but now they were returning to him. The Midianites and their allies had gathered an army of 135,000 to rob the Israelites of their food and their crops. God told Gideon that he would lead the Israelites. God would be with him to completely defeat the Midianites. The enemy army camped in the valley of Jezreel near the hill of Moreh. Gideon had 32,000 warriors from nearby tribes who had gathered near the spring of Harod. They were outnumbered 4-1. The Lord told Gideon, "You have too many warriors. If I let you defeat the Midianites, the Israelites will boast that they did it themselves. Send home everybody who's afraid." So 22,000 of them went home, leaving only 10,000. They were going against an enemy 13 times larger. Then the Lord told Gideon, "There are still too many. Bring them down to the spring." At the spring, the Lord said, "Divide them into 2 groups, those who cup water in their hands and those who kneel down and drink from the stream with their mouths." Only 300 of the men drank from their hands. God told Gideon to send the others home. Midian's army was now 450 times bigger than Israel's. That night, the Lord told Gideon, "If you're afraid to attack, go down to the camp with your servant Purah. Listen to what the Midianites are saying, and you will be greatly encouraged." Gideon and Purah crept up on the enemy, just as a man was telling his companion about a dream. "In my dream, a loaf of barley bread came tumbling down into the Midianites' camp. It hit a tent, turned it over, and knocked it flat." His friend answered, "Your dream can only mean God has given Gideon victory over us." Gideon bowed and worshipped God, and then he returned to the camp. "Get up, for the Lord has given you victory over Midian's hordes," Gideon shouted. He divided the 300 men into 3 groups and gave each man a ram's horn and a clay jar with a torch in it. He instructed them that as soon as they heard him blow his horn, they should do the same and shout, "For the Lord and for Gideon!" Just after the changing of the guard at midnight, Gideon's group of 100 men reached the edge of the Midianite camp. Suddenly they blew the ram's horns and broke their clay jars. The other groups did the same. They held the blazing torches in their left hand and the horns in the right hand, shouting, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon!" Each man stood still as the Lord caused the Midianites to rush around in a panic. They began fighting among each other with their swords. They were killing each other. The rest of the Midianite soldiers fled for their lives. Because of God, the Midianite army had been defeated. God had saved Israel again.